Hello Year 3 and welcome to today's math lesson. Happy Friday. We're going to get started straight away. We are carrying on with time, so we're going to be doing our final review session on this topic. So I am just going to share my screen. Perfect. So you will need something to write with and something to write on. So you can see you've got a number of different multiplication equations for you. Some of them are missing number. I suggest you get started on them straight away. Press the pause button and then when you're ready, press play. Fantastic. I'm going to show you the answers now. So if you're not quite finished, press that pause button again. Okay. We should really now be fluent in our 4s and 6s and 8s. They are something which we've done some work on and you need to be doing some work in your own time. So whether you're using some of the games on Purple Mash, Hit the Button, Daily 10, Times Table Rockstars, or just even chanting the times tables, you need to make sure that you're doing your practice of these because they are so important with lots of different areas of maths. Okay, as I mentioned, today we are going to be doing another review on time, finishing off with some of the other content that we've covered in this unit. So today we are going to differentiate between AM and PM. So we're going to do a review of our lesson of AM, of the difference between AM and PM, and putting events whether they happen in the AM or the PM. We're going to calculate durations of events in hours and minutes, and we're going to cross that hour again, and we're going to use that duration knowledge in some word problems. So let's look at today's star words. So I'm going to start over here. Start time, end time, minutes, hours, duration, day, night, AM, PM, antemeridian, postmeridian. Okay, so we need to be really, so antemeridian is Latin for before midday and postmeridian is Latin for post midday. So that's what we're going to look at first. So quick recap, how many hours are there in a day? There are 24 hours. So if we look at our clock, and I've got one just here, if we look at our clock, our hour hand has to go around twice in one day. So there, each of them you can have a 1 AM and a 1 PM, a 6 AM and a 6 PM. So what we're going to do today is to try and work out sensible times for some of these events, from events in the day. So for example, if someone says to you that they go out to play it at 3 AM, would that be sensible or not? So on this screen here, I have got our, do 1 second, go back. So looking here, you've got your hours of the day. So our day starts at midnight, 12 AM, and ends at midnight, 12 AM. So it's 24 hours. Midday is the halfway point of the day, which is 12 PM. So that is 12 hours have passed. So it's 12 hours of AM and 12 hours of PM. And you can see here, this is just an idea of when it is light and dark. Obviously, as I mentioned previously, it depends on the season and where you are in the world. So we're going to look at these events and I've put some times by them and we're just going to have a look at them. So typically, someone is likely who goes to school, who goes to Art Franklin, is likely to get out of bed and brush their teeth at around 7:30 AM in the morning. You might do it differently, but that would be a typical time. Then you would have your breakfast. You'd still be in AM. I wouldn't expect you to be eating your breakfast after midday. Likewise, your school will start before midday. Before midday. Think of midday as your cutoff point. Playtime, in Key Stage 2, we have a playtime in the morning in between our morning lessons and our lessons before lunch. So they are before midday. Now looking at afternoon, you might have your lunch around 1 PM. You might have it a little bit earlier, you might have it a little bit later, but you typically will have your lunch after midday. After school, so school ends at 3 p.m, not 3 a.m, 3 p.m, you might go to the playground. You might go home and read a book. 6 p.m, it might be when you eat your supper or your main meal of the day. You might eat it a bit earlier or a bit later, but you're not going to eat your main meal of the day at, for example, at 6 a.m. No, because we're normally still asleep. Then 7 p.m, you might have a bath or start getting ready for bed. That would be at 7 p.m. At 7 a.m, you're likely to be getting up and getting ready for school. And then at 8 p.m, it's time to go to bed. Sleep time. We couldn't say it was 8 a.m. that it's time to go to sleep because you should be having breakfast then. Obviously, this is a day of maybe someone of a school child. Some people work different jobs and they'll have different schedules of their days. But this is imagining if you're at school. So I have given you a sentence and you need to choose whether the event is AM or PM. So I should give you the first, I'll go through the first one with you as an example. Lola has breakfast at 7 o'clock. Does she have breakfast at 7 a.m. or 7 p.m? Breakfast is the first meal of the day after I wake up. And I look down here, oh, I've got this to help me, that I start waking up. I wake up at around 7 a.m. So I think she has breakfast at 7 a.m, which would be correct. Press pause now and just write whether each one is AM or PM, and when you're ready, press play. Fantastic. Right, let's look at number 2. Number 2, Gus goes for a bike ride at 2 o'clock. Now, imagine if you were Gus. Would you want to go for a bike ride at 2 a.m? You might want to go, but it probably wouldn't be the best idea because you should really be asleep. So if Gus goes for a bike ride at 2 p.m, would that make sense? Well, 2 p.m, it's kind of after lunch, maybe before you'd have a snack in the afternoon. Yeah, 2 p.m. would be a sensible time for a bike ride. Number 3, I make a sandwich for a snack at either at 3:30. If it is at 3:30 in the morning or 3:30 in the afternoon. So is it 3:30 a.m, so really early where a lot of people will still be asleep? Or is it 3:30, maybe just after you and Gus have come back from your bike ride? Absolutely, it's 3:30 p.m, post-meridian. It's a snack after your lunch. Mum reads a bedtime story at 7:45 or 7:45. Now, 7:45, is it 7:45 in the morning or 7:45 in the evening? Because around technically, normally people say anything after around 6 or 7 p.m. is the evening. Would you, bedtime story is normally read to you before you're going to sleep. Would you want a bedtime story at 7:45 in the morning while you're getting ready for school? I don't think that would be a very good idea. It'd be nice to have a story, but maybe not a bedtime story. So yes, it is PM. And finally, Frankie plays football at 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. Well, unless he wants to play nighttime football. If he plays nighttime football, he could play 11 p.m. football, but he probably wouldn't be the best idea because I'd assume he'd probably be asleep, especially if he's had a bedtime story at 7:45. So Frankie would play football at around 11 a.m. and then he can work up a nice appetite for lunch. Good. I hope that has made things a bit clearer for AM and PM. Moving on, we are going to recap quickly what we have done this week, and I must say I'm really impressed with your work on durations. So we're going to be looking at durations quickly across the hour. So this is where, for example, we are just going to be looking at the minutes. The hours. The minutes are not changing. We are just looking at the hours. So my first step to success, remember, is I need to mark my start time. My start time is here, it's 2 o'clock, so I'm just going to mark there. And my end time is 5 o'clock, so I've just marked it on my, oh, I want a different colour there. There we go. I've just marked it on my line there, my number line there. So you don't have to use your number line. Remember, you can always do your end time, so take away your start time. So we could do end, take away start if you wanted to. I'm going to use a number line because I've got one here. So I'm going to count on in ones because we're looking at the different hours. So we're looking at how many hours have passed. 1, 2, 3. 3 hours have passed. I know that because I know that also I need to add 3 to 2 to make 5. So again, all those subtractions, number bonds that we know will help. Okay, let's do another one. So start time, 4 o'clock. End time is 8 o'clock. Then I am now going to count on from 4 to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the same as 4 hours. I know also if I add 4 to 4, I make 8. Simple. Your knowledge of addition and subtraction here will really help you. But it's good to understand that each one of these is, we're looking at each one of these intervals is an hour. Okay, well now we're going to look at within minutes. So our minute intervals. So I want you to imagine you have your clock here. You have a clock here. Let me see if I make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Your clock here. Now, in each one of these questions, you can use a proper clock, or you can almost just make a mark on the paper where you are going to be starting, where you are going to be looking at your start point and your end point. So I'm again just going to make some little marks using a coloured highlighter here. So how long is it from 5 past 7 to 10 past 7? Well, let me find 5 past the hour. Oh, it's here. Where's 10 past the hour? Oh, it's here. We know each one of these numbers, between each one of these numbers is a period of 5 minutes. So that's simple enough. I know it's 5 minutes. I also know that if I add 5 to 5, I make 10. Now, 25 minutes to 45 minutes. Again, we can do the whole end time, subtract start time. That would work. We could draw the time on the clock if we had an access to a clock. Or we could just think that we are starting off at 25 and we need to end up at 45. I know that 25 and 45 are both in my 5 times table, so I'm going to skip count in 5s from 25 to 45. 30, 35, 40, 45. That is 4 jumps, which is the same as 4 times 5 is equal to 20. And I can just quickly see that on my clock, because that, and I go 5, 10, 15, oops, it's meant to be 45, 15, 5, 10, 15, 20. Simple as that. However, not always going to be in jumps of 5s. We're going to sometimes have our minute intervals. So we need to remember each one of these little sections in our clock is equal to 1 minute. So again, different ways of dealing with this. You can count on from how many do you need, how many does it take to count on from 4 until 17, or you can do the end time take away start time. I'm going to do the end time take away start time method. So 11:17 take away 11:04. Well, do you know what? I don't actually need to worry about these because it's the same. I'm only looking at the minutes, so you don't need to, in these cases, you don't need to touch the hours. 17 take away 4 is equal to 13. And I know if I add 4 to 13, I get 17. And you could even check using your clock. So 9:37 to 9:51, what is the duration? How long is that? Well, again, you can use also, similar to what we use when we're bridging the hour, you could use that to get to your nearest kind of multiple of 5 time. So we could say, well, I know 37 add 3 is equal to 40. And then if I add on 10, I get to 50. And then I add on another 1, I get to 51, which is 14 minutes. There's so many different ways that you can calculate this. It's whatever is most suitable for you. But this one, remember, it's end time, take away your start time. It's a little method for you. And it's one you can use. It's a good way to check. Okay, so here's a chance you maybe to practice that method. So at the top, you've got a number line to help you. You've got to how many hours, and then at the bottom is how many minutes. Press pause to complete this, and when you're ready, press play, and we're going to go into the answers straight away. Fantastic. You should be ready now to go through the answers. If not, carry on with your work. So press pause. Okay. 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock is how many hours? I've got 3 here. I've got 8 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 hours. I also know that 3 add 5 is equal to 8. 7:15 to 7:40 is how many minutes? Well, I can count on from 15 up to 40, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. It is 25 minutes. 25 minutes. And likewise here, 8:06 to 8:21 is equal to 15 minutes, because 6:21 take away 6 is 15. Or again, you could use your clock and mark the different times on your clock. So there's our 21, and then there's our 8s, and you could count around using that way. Whatever method makes it easier for yourself. So now we're looking at kind of applying some of those knowledge of durations to word problems, which I know we've been doing over the last couple of days, but it's good to have another practice. So how long is Dave and Don's hula? How long? What is the length or the duration of this program? So remember, your key things to think about when you're doing duration questions like this is your start time, your end time, and you use your O clocks to help you as your marker. So what is our start time? Dave Don's hula starts at 7:50 and it ends, well, when the next program starts, which is 8:20. So I need to work out how long this program is. I could just try and work it out by kind of adding, but it's just going to be easier if I just mark my O clock. What is my O clock in between? So 7:50, well, I know that there's 60 minutes in an hour, and 7:50 is the same as 10 to 8. So my next hour, my hour is 8 o'clock. And it's going to take me 10 minutes. 10 minutes till I get there. Then I need to get to my end time, which, look, it's in the same hour. So I just need to add on how many minutes. That is 20 minutes. Perfect. So my answer is 20 add 30 is 30 minutes. Dave and Don's hula is 30 minutes long. Perfect. Start time, end time, and use your o'clocks in between as your signpost. Right, now it's time for you to have a quick go. If I watch Angry Earth and Hacker, how long will I have been watching TV for? If I watch Angry Earth and Hacker, how long will I be watching TV for? Press pause, and then when you're ready to check your answers, press play. Fantastic. Right, start time. Angry Earth starts at 8:35. Hacker ends at 10:05. Now, some people might think, oh, let me work out how long Angry Earth is and then how long Hacker is and then add them together. You could do that, or you could just do them in one block, which I think would be quite a lot easier. So first is finding those o'clocks in between. So 8:35, what's the next hour after 8:35? Well, I know that 8:35 is 25 to 9, so that's 9 o'clock. And 8:35 is 25 minutes to 9. See, by knowing this knowledge, it just makes a lot of these things easier for us. Then 9 o'clock is my answer. No, is my answer in 9 o'clock? No, it's 10 o'clock. So I need to go from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, which is just 1 hour. Then you can go from how many minutes is it from 10 o'clock to 10:05. It is 5 minutes. Let's add this all together. 25 add 5 is 30, add an hour is 1. So those two programs, you would have been watching TV for 1 hour and 30 minutes. Break it down, use your o'clocks, and it should all make sense. So now time for your independent task. Working through some of the skills that we've been practicing today. Any questions, ask them in your briefings. Upload your work on Seesaw. Year 3, it's been a pleasure teaching you maths over this term via the wonder of technology, and we're looking forward to seeing you in your classrooms very soon. Bye-bye.